Dead men tell no tales, but their ships speak volumes. Welcome to the Cursed Compass, where we explore the darkest maritime mysteries.
This map shows the growing bottleneck of the Great Lakes in 1890. Industrial expansion required millions of tons of coal to move west from Buffalo, while massive harvests of wheat needed to flow east from Chicago and Duluth. Traditional wooden and iron freighters had reached their physical limits. Attempting to scale these designs up to meet demand caused the hulls to flex and leak under the weight of the cargo. In June 1890, a group of prominent lumber merchants moved to break this limit. They signed a $200,000 contract with the Cleveland Shipbuilding Company for hull number 10, a vessel designed to carry more than any ship before it. To meet these new industrial demands, shipbuilders abandoned proven materials and gambled on an entirely new class of superfreighter. This wireframe reveals the scale of the completed W.H. Gilcher. At over 300 feet long and 41 feet wide, the ship possessed a 140,000 cubic foot capacity, distributed across 6 main cargo holds.
The critical innovation was the hull material. Both the Gilcher and its sister ship, the Western Reserve, were among the very first lake freighters constructed from steel plates rather than wood or iron. Steel construction provided a much higher strength-to-weight ratio. This allowed the ship to carry significantly heavier deadweight loads than any previous vessel on the lakes. Upon its christening in 1891, the Gilcher appeared to have solved the structural barriers that had previously limited the size of the Great Lakes fleet. Pushing a 3,000-ton deadweight through the water required a massive leap in propulsion power. This is the Cleveland Shipbuilding Company's 3-cylinder triple expansion steam engine. It utilized cylinders measuring 20, 33, and 54 inches in diameter. With a 40-inch stroke, the system generated enough power to move the freighter at 9.5 knots. The ship was an immediate success. Between 1891 and 1892, it set multiple records, hauling up to 3,255 tons of coal to Chicago and 113,885 bushels of wheat to Buffalo. The Gilcher functioned as a high-capacity tool, outperforming every other freighter in the bulk transport market. To maintain this pace, the ship was pushed through a punishing operational tempo, navigating narrow river channels and heavy ice to maximize cargo turns. In April 1892, that strain became visible. The Gilcher's wheel chains parted while navigating the Canadian side of the river, running the vessel aground at Point Edward. Only a month later, the freighter broke its wheel entirely in the ice off Duluth, requiring a tow across the lakes back to Buffalo for repairs. Even with its modern steel design, the physical environment of the lakes was already testing the limits of the ship's durability. On October 26, 1892, the Gilcher departed Buffalo carrying 3,080 tons of coal bound for Milwaukee under Captain Leeds H. Weeks. The ship passed through the Straits of Mackinac at 2:30 p.m. on October 28th, entering the open waters of Lake Michigan. That evening, a massive gale swept over Lakes Michigan and Huron, bringing hurricane-force winds and violent, chaotic seas that damaged multiple fleets. At 8 p.m., the captain of the schooner Seaman observed a large steamer 20 miles northwest of North Manitou Island. The vessel appeared unresponsive as it struggled against the wind. A fully loaded, modern steel vessel had vanished in the exact environmental conditions it was engineered to survive. The fate of the Gilcher was only confirmed after the storm broke, and arriving ships began reporting massive debris fields. Sailors found furniture and pieces of the Gilcher's pilot house floating off South Manitou Island among the wreckage of smaller vessels. Weeks later, the ship's mizzenmast and 2 bodies wearing Gilcher life preservers were discovered on Fox Island. All 18 men were lost, but the splintered nature of the wreckage suggested the modern steel hull had completely shattered in the storm. The back-to-back losses of the Gilcher and the Western Reserve forced engineers to investigate the molecular makeup of the steel itself. This is a Bessemer converter, which lowered steel costs to match iron, but the process was too fast. The brief blow left metallurgists no time to properly adjust the alloying elements in the molten metal. Phosphorus was a major factor. The Bessemer process couldn't efficiently remove it, leaving the element wedged aggressively between the iron bonds. Because mills used atmospheric air, nitrogen was forcefully injected into the metal lattice's remaining gaps. These elements destroyed the metal's ductility, the ability to bend without breaking. Without ductility, the Gilcher's hull could not withstand the constant compression and extension of a storm. The economic miracle of cheap Bessemer steel had rendered the metal dangerously brittle. In heavy seas, a 300-foot ship acts like a massive girder. Passing waves subject the hull to intense extension and compression, known as hogging and sagging. A Great Lakes gale also applies torsion, twisting the hull in opposing directions. A ductile metal flexes safely under these loads. The Gilcher's brittle steel simply cracked, allowing catastrophic fractures to tear through the plates at high speed. Dynamic mechanical forces exploited a microscopic chemical flaw, tearing the hull apart from the inside out. The dual tragedies of 1892 effectively ended the use of Bessemer steel for Great Lakes shipbuilding. The industry shifted to the open heart process, which provided the chemical control necessary to produce safe, ductile marine steel. Despite over a century of searching, the exact location of the W.H. Gilcher remains unknown, making it the largest undiscovered shipwreck in Lake Michigan. The Gilcher remains a silent monument to the deadly gap between industrial ambition and the limits of 19th-century material science.